really happy having you, Connie. The goal is not to interview you on your next movie, but what is interesting to us in during those sessions and interviews is talking about your activism. Not only when you started, but is more just what you're doing. So let's today talk about Africa, even more about Kenya, and even if we go deeper, let's talk about Kibera. So more than 10 years ago now, you co-founded this organization, Human Needs Project. Can you tell us more about it and maybe explain us the start of everything and how you were able to put together your work with your activism?
Thank you, Alexander. I went to Kenya to shoot a film, and I was getting to know people from the largest slum in East Africa called Kibera every day on set for 2 months. And, you know, film sets are extremely intimate environments. You really get to know people. You talk to them. After work, I would go home to a 5-star hotel, and they would be walking into a slum, and they had to be home by a certain hour, because after that it would be straight up too dangerous for them to reach their homes. No light, no running water, no sewage systems, no nothing. And all of the stories I heard about Kibera before I got there really were dwarfed by the reality that I saw. And the reality that I saw is 500,000 people living on 2 sloping hillsides going down towards the Nairobi River. They're literally just houses, you know, hanging on to a steep hillside, mud and mud houses, just filled in with trash, mountains and heaps of trash.
In that case, sometimes as a human being, you give money. Why you, Connie, at some point you said is not enough. It's far from you, from your world, from San Francisco where you live, Denmark where you grew up. Why? You said you will do the work.
I was approached by the group of elders that were sort of administrating informally the part of Kibera that I was working, which was Katwakera. And Katwakera, as elders asked me if I would build them a well. And, you know, I was obviously so deeply taken with the people there and really just incensed at the enormity of this incredible injustice that I was watching. I mean, it just literally burned in me with outrage, just moral outrage, really, that of course I immediately said yes, that I would of course do that. And I remember arriving back in San Francisco and being completely jet lagged and up at 4 a.m. and Googling, how do I build a well in Africa? And incredibly, nothing came up. There was no answer in Google at the time. There probably is now, but there wasn't at the time. Instead, there was a lot of articles about problems that wells in Africa have. And that made me dive into all of this research that made me discover that most approaches to aid, most approaches where we want to help, are disorganized. They use inappropriate technology. They often add to the problem. And furthermore, they make people locally dependent instead of independent. It's a, oh, poor you kind of mentality. And it's understandable. People are moved by compassion and but often also by pity. And pity is an emotion that makes people feel small. It doesn't make them feel powerful. They're already wrestling with the burden of the world on their shoulders. And now they are being pitied and they're feeling even less capable and inspired to be able to be the key to their own solution. My idea was, well, obviously, what if we could make something that could be sustainable and that could be like the exclusive property of the local users and become their space so that they could build. But obviously they would need to have a lot of education and a lot of technical skills, because running a combined infrastructure machine, which is what we set out to do here. My partner, David Warner, and our amazing board members, scientists, business leaders, all kinds of incredible people who came together and put this idea together. Okay, what does it look like to provide a combined infrastructure in a place that has none?
Maybe on another subject, talk more about your activism. I think you've been one of the main characters in this Wonder Woman movie. What's your takeaway now on this Me Too? You are very international. As you know, in some countries in Europe, we have quotas. What do you think? Do you think things are changing? Do you think we still need to work hard, to push hard?
Coming to a place where we're truly sharing power is a long process. And, you know, a lot of people are willing and they become allies because they want to live in a just society too. They want their sisters, their mothers, their daughters to have an equal access to their future. But you have as many people that are seeing any encroachment on their entitled privilege as an attack directly on them. And they will regroup, they will try to reform power patterns that exclude people of color and women. We need to reform our justice system.
Will you just push for more quota? Do you think it's a way to promote women? Do you think it's a good thing?
We have knowledge about how that worked in Norway because they made these quotas. Unfortunately, the type of women that men let into those boards turned out to not be the women who were going to actually go activistically, so to speak, and look down the line to other women in those corporations and see, are they giving pay parity? And so even though we did get all those women on the boards and into leaderships, those women were not necessarily women who were feminists. Maybe men felt more comfortable with this type of women. So it is not only a question of quota of women, what type of women?
Maybe it's a good start. I know in other countries like France, they start doing it. I think the outcome is positive.
I think you need to have very clear what is your objective with those quotas, because if your objective is only to look good, then we know from environmentalism that to just look good is simply not enough, because people will just use like window dressing, and it becomes a giant hypocrisy. Go and do it with clear objectives of in fact creating equity. If you're looking for equity, it's not that hard.
Last question, you are always about just new projects. You already have something, you want to push something new, maybe in Quebec, maybe in the US, maybe in Denmark?
On the NGO side, I would like to scale our project now. I think we have enough data to show that this works. We have created the technology for completely off-grid infrastructure boxes that are comprehensive, 360 degrees of sewage treatment, clean water, energy, and education. And you have them all in one place, which is what makes it easier for its users to go and change their lives. They have access to high-speed internet. They have access to even social gathering spaces in a dignified setting.
Where our viewers can check and get some information about the project, please?
I'd like everyone to go on our social media. The Kibera Town Center makes amazing videos on YouTube. And shows all of the many cultural activities that are happening there too. All of our Instagram and Twitter is just full of this stuff as well. Human Needs Project and Kibera Town Center. The Kibera Town Center is the actual pilot project of Human Needs Project. If you want to donate, go to our website, www.humanneedsproject.org. You can also see all of the technology on that website, but on social media, you can see all of the amazing human things that are being done there. On the front of films, I am starting to do more and more producing to, in fact, push for more funding for female-led projects and for inclusive projects that also include storytelling lines that give dignity to every part of the world.
Connie, thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you for paving the way. I think it's very important. Thank you, Connie.
Really nice to talk. Bye.